Thank you very much for coming and welcome to the Inside Out lecture series. The mission of the Inside Out lecture series is to bring the best minds of our generation from all over the globe to come and inspire the work the staff and students do in the School of Art, Architecture and Design. To this end, we've flown in some brilliant artists from all over the globe, and we're particularly proud of our partnership with Yorkshire Sculpture International that have afforded us to bring some of the top sculptors in the world to come and speak to you. We're privileged today to have Nobuko, Tsuchiya and Sarah Brown, the principal keeper from Leeds Art Gallery, will be in conversation here today. But to introduce them formally is the director of the Henry Moore Foundation, Godfrey Worsdale. Godfrey Worsdale, please welcome.
Thank you very much, Simon, and great to see you all here this afternoon. Just to say a little bit about the Yorkshire Sculpture International project, for those of you who don't know. This is a project of collaboration between 4 galleries concerned very specifically with sculpture. The Art Gallery here in Leeds and its phenomenal collections of sculpture, the Henry Moore Institute, which is a part of the Henry Moore Foundation and is very much leading the way in the UK as a centre for the study of sculpture, the wonderful Yorkshire Sculpture Park and the Hepworth Wakefield. And it really is, if you stop to think for a moment, that the likelihood of having such fabulous institutions in such a small geographical area makes it globally significant. And one of the outcomes of that, as a collaborative team, we thought we are globally significant. We should really exploit that, and we're all very well connected internationally. We work with artists from all over the globe. The idea of bringing this together in one festival seemed a sensible thing to do, and so Yorkshire Sculpture International is the result of those conversations. On the subject of conversations, this one is one that I'm really, for personal reasons, very, very excited to be able to introduce. Both Nobuko and Sarah, 2 really wonderful people. Sarah has, I think, in the time she's been in charge of the Art Gallery in Leeds, has really moved it into a different place. It's so much more vibrant. The programme is very engaging. It varied. It moves around. It's thoroughly engaged, and it's great to see. And it's one of the country's most important institutions, and it's wonderful to have Sarah leading it. And Nobuko also is a very special person to me. And if you'll forgive me a very small anecdote. Many years ago, when I was a bit less of a bureaucrat and a bit more of a jobbing curator and writer, and I was very engaged with contemporary art, and particularly interested in the work of young artists. And I was privileged to be invited to be an external examiner at Goldsmiths College in London, and this sounded like a great thing to be given the opportunity to do. However, I quickly realised it's a pretty daunting prospect, and the way this challenge arose was that you'd enter a space where the student's work was presented, spend a bit of time in that space on your own, and then shortly after the student would join you for the Viva Voce, where you talk through the work and learn more about the artist, and then eventually you'd feed back to the college. But of course, whilst this is a kind of challenge for the examiner, it's an incredibly daunting thing for the students, and their futures, their careers may hinge on this very short experience with most oftentimes a stranger. So I always felt very nervous, and my worst fear was to walk into the student space and see the work and be a bit deflated by it, and then have to think, how do I now engage with this young artist in a way that can be constructive and productive? But anyway, I moved into this particular space, which was introduced to me as the work of Nobuko. And the tutor on the course left me, and I started to look at this work, and I was absolutely blown away by this work. It was incredibly sensitive, challenging, humorous, use of materials that really belied the age of the artist who'd made it. And I became increasingly excited to meet the person who'd created this stunning work. And it remains, to this day, the very highest high point of my time as an external examiner. And I think we might even be lucky to see some of the very early work that I saw on that day. So, roll forward several years, To now be working with my colleagues on Yorkshire Sculpture International and to have Nobuko as a participant and now a very well recognised and significant artist on the international stage is fantastic for me, and I'm thrilled that that first meeting now brings us to this point. I'm going to clear off the stage and let Sarah and Nobuko have a conversation, and we'll see some images to support that. But I'd like you all to join me in welcoming our two speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Simon and Godfrey. I'm delighted to be here with Nobuko. It's fantastic to have the opportunity to have a conversation with you, and I'd like to thank Yorkshire Sculpture International for flying you over for this conversation and for 3 days in Leeds. I think our conversation is going to be informal. We're going to speak for about 30, 40 minutes, and then there'll be an opportunity for questions from everyone here. And Nobuko, I wanted to start by, Godfrey's given you that fantastic introduction about your work in goldsmiths, and I too had the opportunity to see your work in Japan. This should be at the end. Don't know if it's just going to carry on rolling through.
Keep looping the whole way.
Just keep looping through. So perhaps while this is looping itself through, we'll just go back. This is the end. Let's go back right to the beginning. When you've described to me your, when you were very young, your process of making and some of the creative and destructive elements of making objects from a very early age. And I was just wondering if you could talk about, you were born in Yamamoto, which is a small town outside Tokyo. Your parents were teachers.
But got a little bit problem with communicating with my parents. It was really hard, a little bit too hard. So I got probably psychological problem that I couldn't go to schools, primary schools. So I always in my room, and I really couldn't have any friends. So I was making my friend with a domestic object. And fortunately, my mother was, fortunately, I don't know, strange feminist in Japan, which was unusual. And she was quite hysterical about doing housewife stuff. So she was really happy that I break the kitchen domestic object. So I was, break the kind of bowl and chopping board to make strange things. And I made each name, and I was play with them. So that is actually fundamentally the same stuff I'm doing now. It's okay.
No, that's brilliant. I think that's I think for me that's a really sort of important way in to your work. And I think also the other part of that was what you did with those objects once you had reconfigured those broken components that were often domestic appliances. And so what did you do with them in terms of...
Okay, so it's completely have a problem with talking with especially with father. So I made my friend and put his desk in his office. And I was looking at my father's behavior with my work through the hole of the door. That was my communication with my father. Yeah, my father treats the work always, not the work, like strange stuff, always nicely. So then I was keeping myself, I think.
And would he keep the objects that you made?
Just put a shelf.
Put them on a shelf.
Yeah.
And
embarrassing to talk
but
about
I think
it.
that's. I know, but I really want to thank you for that incredibly not easy but very generous sharing, because in the time that we've spoken about your work and the different projects that you've done, I think that story and that sort of those beginnings are very important, and we kind of come back to them. And I also then wanted to sort of say that you You grew up, you did go to school,
Yeah.
but you made the decision when you were about 20 to study in Florence.
Yeah, over 20, but yeah.
And so you didn't go to study sculpture.
No, I went to painting course in Florence, and it was quite boring for me because of in Italy there is a system in Florence. It's specialized about Renaissance that I couldn't get on with. So I nearly didn't go to school, but I got visa, which is important, and I was traveling all the time, and I was so excited.
And you really wanted that desire to leave Japan.
Yeah,
you
just,
really had that.
Yeah, I really wanted to throw away, completely throw away. At the time, I wasn't believed like now to live in Japan. I thought I'd never back to Japan at the time. Yeah.
So we'll come back to that. But then, from your time studying painting in Florence, you described going to the Venice Biennale.
Yes, it was wonderful and excited. And so I didn't know anything about art before. Art, I mean art.
Contemporary art.
Contemporary art. Yeah, or what I think about art, or never. So I never forget and still remember that my I didn't understand anything about what they're doing, but just the energy. And felt like full of mad people living strongly in the world. And so excited. I didn't talk about it. I shouted in the canal. Me too, I come here, and shouted. My friends, oh God, Nobuko.
So you had that you say you had that very strong desire to
be in
the Venice Biennale.
I didn't know that mean being an artist. Just want to be joined like them. Yeah.
And was it this, you talked about particular work that had an impact on you, Nam June Pak, that you saw there, but this kind of explosion of contemporary work in the context of an incredibly historic city?
Yeah.
What was it? The art? Was it just that sort of excitement? Because that led to you then deciding to go to Goldsmiths.
Yeah. I was actually getting a lot of stuff in Florence. Because of a big difference from Japan, thinking way and the lifestyle, and value about what they think about the value of the life, and especially women's
women okay.
thinking way.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought I'm okay in Florence, and then next stage, that's what I do for my life. Then really wanted, I researched and studied how to be in the Venice Biennale, and then discovered I have to be an artist, right? Kind of stuff. Then I decided which country, then decided London. Yeah.
And so you settled in London, you came to Goldsmiths, and you began making work that
Probably
I know had a huge impact on Godfrey, but was quite unlike anything. There's an element of that I was going to ask you. Could you talk about maybe that element of the combination of the pre-configured existing objects with what you then began to make yourself? So casting or creating in particularly silicon. Mm-hmm. Could you talk about that early work? So you arrived in London. It was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
London was an incredible sort of energy.
The 2000 in London is completely amazing period that, right? Mm-hmm. It was a huge energy to find new stuff, new idea, not only art, for everything, I think. And to be international, it was huge energy and changing and developing every day, that feeling.
And it was
really
that moment when the 90s had happened and Tate had opened and London in that decade had completely changed.
And also Euro stuff is in the part, right? It was so beautiful, amazing.
And you had, I mean, a kind of a moment that I think was incredibly enviable to many artists.
Enviable, what is it?
Well, sort of, was very admirable. And what you know, well, you were
Sorry,
so
my
lucky.
English.
I know, Nobuko. I think you're doing great.
I lived in 10 years in UK, but I've never studied English, so.
But you speak very well. You speak very well,
Busy to make work.
and you can pull me up on words that I use.
Yeah.
So, you graduated from Goldsmiths.
No, actually, not graduate.
But you finished the period of studying Goldsmiths.
1 year finished.
1 year.
Yes.
And then you were at the Royal Academy.
Yeah.
And then you, in 2003, I mean, you can talk a bit about the Goldsmiths' work.
This is a degree show.
Yeah. So this is your degree show.
Yeah. This is actually the first work that I feel I've done something I like.
Mm-hmm.
And how I did, how I am as well, kind of.
And that creation, that combination of, I'm quite interested in that process of destruction and creation that you do. Could you talk a bit about that in this work, that process of taking things apart, reconfiguring them, adding,
But the technician's work is I had only 3 weeks. So I picked up everything from the workshop, school workshop, which people threw it away, and cut and put in together or something. It was just simple. Like, you can see the cleaning for the ear or cotton, and that one is brushes, break the brushes and put it something. It's nice. Mars. This is Mars. The Martian is there.
Yeah. And I'm interested in this kind of, there's this tabletop that kind of does recur.
Yeah.
In your work.
Yeah.
And I mean, echoes that kind of that relationship that you had to placing objects on the desk of your father and the kind of.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep? Can you keep going, Joe?
Maybe I should use.
You can see here on
Yeah.
the screen. Do you want to talk a bit more about this?
It's
This?
fine.
And then these are the works that you often gave names to, individual names.
Sorry, what are you talking about here?
When you talked about creating these objects that you named.
Yeah. But the title, you mean? Title, I actually use the material and the title, but the language is a kind of, for me, is one of the material, like same as cotton or metal, the same. So I assemble, put it together, and sometimes put it together and cut it and put it, change. Those stuff is together, the vocabulary is together, cut it. So how can I say?
So you do the same. You treat language in the same way because you have these fantastic titles.
Yeah, the same way.
And you treat language in the same way that you cut and edit materials. And you've described materials as like magnets.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes, I really fit for me the sentence that the materials are like a magnet. So if I use the material, sometimes materials take something inside myself, take out. Sometimes childhood memory, sometimes memory of yesterday, feeling of yesterday, or sometimes imagine to go to the moon whenever. They do to me, not I do. So that's my work is actually layer of those process. Yeah. Now I like just touching or playing with materials without aim to anything.
And you described being a kind of almost like a conductor, the process of conducting an orchestra of different
Oh,
materials.
yes, yeah. When I going to finish, yes, yes, yes.
And could you talk a bit about that process of going from chaos?
What do you mean?
Well, when you talk about the process of how you control that kind of chaos of conducting an orchestra or
Yeah,
your studio to sort of distilling.
Yeah, control, not control. I don't know. Actually, if I think really honestly myself, I control but not control, because each material has a kind of strong identity. So, for example, when I use cotton has a strong identity. Like I cannot make shape, for example. And I cannot make feeling with metal, for example, right? So I have to say yes, always yes about how they are. But if only I say yes all the time, doesn't come up as a work. So do something.
And we talked about when you work with a material like silicon.
Yeah.
And being a sculptor that tussle, or that being a slave to the material.
Yeah. Some materials has a really strong kind of character, but not always say yes about how they are. But that point, how much I say yes, how much no, the point is really important. And then if I change the point too much or not too much, it doesn't work. And then I can say that point is what my work, it's like identity of my work. That is a way that show my work, I mean Nobuko Tsuchiya's work, I think. If I look at other people's work, it's generally more control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And we're just on the work, because after your time at Goldsmiths and the Royal Academy, and you were picked up by Anthony Reynolds, so who you've been with to now, and you then were selected to show in the 50th Biennale by Francesca Bonami, and this is some of the work that you showed. So I mean, it's incredible that within a decade of that experience of being in Florence and seeing that happened. I wondered if you could just talk a bit about the work that you selected, but also for so many of the audience here who are students and who that kind of...
Who are students? Student. Okay, the art course student, art course, fine art, and sculpture, or multimedia. Right. Okay. What do you think? Yeah, do you enjoy your course? Right. I had a difficulty always. I went 4 schools for university, and all of them I don't have any document to degree or something. I always had a little bit problem with schools. I love to be student, but yeah.
And what did you love? I mean, was it
being a student, or having studio with other students? I really liked it.
And what was that experience like, being in the Venice Biennale at that stage with these? And it was 3 works.
I was so happy and excited, and I was working, but at the same time I didn't know myself. I was so nervous as well, because I didn't have experience for any of my show except the degree show. So I realized after the Venice I got losing. It's completely nothing here was like that. So I discovered I was nervous. At the time I didn't know myself, just
and it was an incredible I mean, you know, you were described as one of the 12 up-and-coming artists. There was an incredible pressure
Yes,
Yeah.
Trisha, yeah.
on that
Yeah,
kind of
I didn't
international acclaim at
Yeah.
quite an early.
Yeah, I think so. And also the day of install, that was 40 degrees. So it was horrible.
Were things melting? 'Cause I know there were artists with work melting that year, one year when it was incredibly hot. And
Yeah,
s-
it was nice, yeah.
yeah, and so you then went back to Japan.
Yeah.
And you showed, I mean, this is where I first saw your work
In Japan.
in
yes,
Japan,
Yes, yes. It was
and
amazing.
at the bathhouse.
Mm.
And I was just going to say, I mean, I was there initially on a research fellowship looking at the Monoho School of Art, which is literally Japanese kind of arte povera school of things. And you're mainly from artists from the 60s, mainly male artists. And when I saw your show at the bathhouse, I just was completely drawn in. And I wondered if we could talk about so its title was 30 Ways to Go to the Moon.
Yeah, it's nice. Nice, no? we can have 30 ways to go to the moon.
And shall we, is this, go to the bathhouse work, and we can just talk a bit about, so the show was a collection of
This one?
sculptures, yeah.
This one, yeah. There was how many works? About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 works in the space. Yeah.
And it was, I mean, the bathhouse is a converted bathhouse. It's in a very particular area of Tokyo that's very unusual
Yeah.
in that it's,
Yeah, originally it was public bath, but the inside they remade to the gallery. It's nice space, kind of. Yes. And then
and just talking about the installation, I mean, I'm interested in the relationship between the individual works and the line that you use in the gallery. Could you maybe talk a bit about that? The way that you create individual works, but also an exhibition. That process of...
Yeah, but for me, it's not individual work. That one installation, because connected in my head, it's connected, kind of story, not story. Also, my story in my head is also fragments. Languages, cut it language, and images also cut it. In my head, huge mess. And then to organize that the message, just a bit, one work, kind of. So looks like individual work, but actually not.
It's really,
so connected.
They're really connected.
So sometimes, or quite often use tube to suggest a connection. Kind of.
And you
Nice.
And I wonder whether you could talk a bit about the title. I mean, there is this element of something that looks incredibly sort of futuristic, otherworldly.
Yeah, I like the futuristic stuff to escape. How am I? Yeah, it's nice now. Imagine to go to the moon. I don't know if I go there. Reality. We can go to the Mars, not Mars, Saturn, Mars, right? I didn't apply the project.
You didn't do that. You didn't do the
I didn't,
application for that.
Yeah, I was. Did you apply? No. I did. I was thinking, but I didn't apply because I have to do training, right?
And but there's also an element in that futuristic element, but there's also one that is what the works are made of, which are the sort of detritus, the waste that you use and reconfigure, and this kind of
like old stuff, past stuff.
How do you sort of go about the process of?
It's really important to pick up really old stuff and take off the kind of history or break the history that they have to change, to something probably with changing my imagination, I think, together to go to not directly for the future somewhere kind of. So my desire is to really go to somewhere, nowhere, somewhere, but not future, not past, not somewhere kind of. Really, I
Somewhere in
want.
the future, but brings the past with you.
No,
No?
not that direction. Also, could be here, or could be here, could be here. Could be everywhere, right? We don't know. We talk only future and past like line. It's not like that. I don't know. I guess.
No, I think that's a really interesting.
Really?
Well, also I wanted to talk to you about your very kindly the process of making. So the project that you recently did in Mexico.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
So
Yeah,
this.
that's it.
So this.
This is probably we are going to show my process, right?
Yeah.
This is I got the space in the residency, and the really village in Mexico. It's nothing there, just a cold beach and beach, and beach, and the people are dancing and with music only, or cocaine, kind of stuff. So they don't have, of course, any material, the material shop. So I used in the middle, that was a candle, for example. And in front, it's like a fiber stuff is
Packing for bananas.
bananas. Yeah, and fortunately only wire was there. And then other stuff is from the tree or nature, natural stuff, plants, dried plants. So I started to play with. This is 1 day, 2 days, comes mess like children. And then I, start, could be, no, could be, with this and combination everything. And then they go to next images. So I pick up those stuff. I'm sure that I can make one work, small work to put in the bag to go back, right? And then next one, and it comes like that. So among the mess, I made the end one, next one also, this one as well. This is from the road, pick up the kind of
The bits of the
rubbish.
car,
Yes,
the bits of the cut off ends
and
of the
then
car.
bottom one is a rail for the door. So I made, actually, I just next one as well. And then the white one is cactus. Do you know cactus? Which is some hair. So I pick up and, charming cactus, kind of stuff, right? So I made quite a lot from that mess. That is my process. To show my process is really easy, compact.
And from this chaos
Yeah.
comes a kind of.
Yeah, so if it's a big exhibition, I do huge mess my studio. So sometimes when I back to the studio, I feel vomit because tiring. Not only dirty, because with my imagination also, that's so tiring stuff that sometimes really fed up myself. But only the end to, assemble, join them, get balance to finish and install. That came really happy in a strange way, like a drug.
Mm-hmm.
So only for that moment I do mess. That I think.
Mm.
Not because I want to be good artist or something, just to get the kind of, I think really like a drug.
Mm-hmm.
Some last moment comes, shh, I'm living kind of feeling.
And so this was the project in Mexico, and this in a way connects to some of our thinking for Leeds in the context of Yorkshire Sculpture International, and the opportunity that we are working with Nobuko to be in the gallery for a month making work. So it's some of this process of we aren't shipping over a series of sculptures that are already configured, we're bringing over component parts, and then you're spending time in the gallery And we're really, from the point of view of the gallery, or an institution, it's quite challenging, but really exciting, I think, and a really important part of Yorkshire Sculpture International, that you'll be here making work. I think that's something that we're really keen, that is part of the process, part of the history of making sculpture in Yorkshire, particularly with the foundation of the Henry Moore Foundation and Dean Clough. And so I know that we haven't really, I know we're not going to necessarily go into great detail, but I was thinking about the gallery becoming a studio and going through that process.
Yes, showing everything, the kind of mess as well. So I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think also it's something you're very quite open to, that being part of the process, that people can...
Yeah, because I can't see other people when I started, so it doesn't matter if open or not, it doesn't change. I did before, and nothing problem if people talk to me, just I cannot listen, so I will not answer.
And recently you just showed at the big survey exhibition at the Mori Museum.
Do you want to talk?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this?
Really, I'm getting tired to talk already.
Are you all right? Very quickly, do you want to just say a bit about the Mori?
Okay,
on the last one, and then there can be an opportunity for questions.
Okay. Just go to the Mori
Is that okay,
Museum.
Jane? Just the last slides, which show the process of the mold.
All my studio photo. I started from here. Because this time, Mori Museum curator had some idea about something and asked me strongly making drawing and plan. And generally I don't do it because I started without any idea, open and playing with material. That's my process. But me too, I was strange. Okay, I tried new things. Okay, sculpture process that I learned, not learned, but someone teach me. So I tried. So started with this, making model, right, with wire. This is actually, you don't understand. 3 meters, and 2 meters 80, and height is nearly 3 meters, huge. And then next one, with the form, I made, more like a model. And the next, so as a sculpture, cut it, put it, yeah? And then like a traditional kind of process, and go there, next. And then making mold. Because of silicone, I need a mold. So I'm making mold, next mold, and take off inside, because I need laminated.
The cast, to take away to make the cast.
Yeah, cast, not cast. Yeah, anyway, and take off huge process, and this is put it together like a mold to work, so I can go inside, and then next, this is not different stuff. Next, this is a silicone. You cannot see very well, but huge balloon stuff. Yeah, and then look at the work. I feel a little bit strange. Okay, for example, in the school, probably, silicone is not really not make shape so much. So people said you should use fiber inside. If you're a sculpture course, you will understand. If you're not, probably. So if you make fiber, silicone stays, not like that. So I did it. And the shape, next one, a little bit top is not that nice. Then, week later, curator called me in the morning. Nobuko, something happened. Nobuko, something happened, with photograph. And the next one, like that. Gosh! But wait, shape, I like this better than before, I thought. Like, kind of. And then I went back to the gallery, and after close the gallery, 10 o'clock, I started fix it at night, overnight. And the next day, I put it back, and then next morning, the call again. Nobuko! 7 o'clock in the morning. Nobuko! Didn't work! Come over today! Kind of stuff. And, and we fix it at night again. Then decided, next one, the work, this. Actually, this is how Silicon wanted. I decided, yes, I listened. Sorry, I did control to you, did work. So I put it other stuff, same as always, and I got imagination about it. And I liked this behavior in the exhibition because all the exhibition was 20 artists being fighting each other. So their energy in the work was 200%. It's too much. Too much works in the space, each space. Only this work, this is the end of the show. So more like a visible and unfortunately with internet, social network became famous. Nobuko's work is problem kind of stuff. So I got huge attention.
Thank you.
So fine.
I think that's really interesting in terms of the way that you talk about materials and the way that you talk about your process.
Completely wrong that I did try to control with strange desire, which I've never done before, or not communication with material, just do it. This is not my way. So this is my work.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nobuko. I think
I laughed myself.
Yeah.
Because, to make balloon, I took three months every day, only 3 days off every day, and I back with the last train every day with assistant. I've never made mistake.
And I think on that note, we can think about the possibilities of what you're going to be making for Yorkshire Sculpture International.
So, answer is, I don't know.
No, don't know. I don't know. But I know it'll be interesting. And you can all join us over the course of the month when Nobuko will be here, seeing the show come together. And it opens on Friday the 22nd. And I just want to thank you for speaking. It's really wonderful that you spoke and shared this journey through your work from early days at Goldsmiths to from your childhood all the way to your latest work at the Mori Museum.
Thank you very much for you, and it was okay
And I think there's an opportunity. We do have time. We started late, but I think there is an opportunity for questions.
Especially for students.
For students, for everyone.
Yeah. No,
to ask
you don't
questions.
You don't have a question.
Any questions?
No.
I'm really intrigued by the fabulous work, and it often reminds me of a laboratory, a scientific place. And it does remind me a little of Mary Shelley and Frankenstein and this kind of creation of
I love that story, yes.
Is that,
I really love the story, Frankenstein, yes. I like this kind of stuff very much. Yeah, and because, I don't know, because I really like, Frankenstein, this type of stuff makes me really easily go to the world, so I love the story. And also, I really like science, real science. I've read quite a lot of science book. Of course, Hawkins is my love.
Stephen Hawkins.
Yes, of course, the most cool person in the world. Yeah, I've read the short
history of time, brief history of time.
Of course, in English. Oh, good. Yeah.
I just wonder if there's a kind of a relationship between the way that you play with materials as a human being.
Yeah.
But you may be questioning what's happening now with synthetic life or artificial intelligence, because Frankenstein, in a sense, is very much a contemporary subject.
How can I answer? Oh, no, what is sorry, English problem? Yeah, I mean, talking about computer stuff nowadays, AI or something. No.
I'm just talking, say, maybe about artificial intelligence and robots and the way that in science now they can literally grow flesh in a laboratory.
Yeah.
And so that position about what
Yeah.
may be
Yeah,
human or the future of the human
but,
is a very important
But
subject.
what I'm doing is kind of opposite of AI or stuff, computer stuff.
Because it's very, there are digital
because-
components in your work, though.
Yeah, digital stuff, but I tried use all of, not only sense or feeling, more anything that inside. Try to use everything, of course, physically muscle, but like a sense of noise, which is to do with quite human, right? Noise, when I use the paper, right? This noise is important to quite stimulate inside myself in some part, and then react something. This continue those stuff with materials, which is quite, I don't know for the long-term future, but quite opposite of computer digital things that I believe.
That connection to the material, but also the kind of sensory.
Yeah,
That.
and we have automatical reaction and also conscious reaction, everything. I'm try to be sharp about those stuff that I have inside, try to out. And then what I really want through my work is people also enjoying the stuff through my work. So my work should not say something, and my work should, that my work should just touching you with your anything, kind of how you are. Be honest, I'm trying the stuff, and I want to more establish about that part. Yes.
Thank you, Howard. Other questions?
You.
Do you have any ideas what your next big exhibition work might be about, or anything like that?
So the answer is don't know. But will come naturally during the period of playing. I started already playing with mess. My studio is if I go back in Japan, dirty kind of stuff. And then gradually comes up some idea, and I leave it, the idea, continue play, and then come up fragments. When I put it together, that's the idea. There always, this one is close from just the beginning of opening, start opening. So maybe when I pack to send here, maybe I get some idea, but not perfectly, kind of. But sorry, I will. Don't worry,
I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
Because
The registrars are worried.
Creator ask me when, and sometimes angry with me.
No,
When?
I think it's really exciting to be working with you like this. So, no. Lizzie.
Nobuko, I wondered if you could describe your studio a little bit more in terms of, is it a space that's absolutely jammed all the way through the year with objects? Does it become fuller when you're having a moment preparing for an exhibition? Is it occupied by people? Do you have assistants?
So yes.
Or is it just you and the objects?
Yes, sometimes ask my assistant, because when it's big, I need another hand. And sometimes some exhibition, actually, I ask a lot of students and ask them how you want. So I can see each person as a material. So because people has a different kind of personality, right? They react differently. And sometimes completely different from what I think. So once I did, and did success very well, make it more wider, the work become wider. Because when I do myself all the time, reaction is always sometimes same too much. I have a limit myself, so when I feel limit, I ask someone, and easy, yeah, put this one to this wire, how you want. And then after that, I control. But this way, it's quite nice to ask. Yeah, sometimes I ask people to do how they want.
And you do have the video that is on YouTube of mixing
That
silly
is
games.
boring.
I know it's boring.
Yeah,
but
do you want to
I love
show?
it.
You
No,
can
don't have to show. Everyone
Yeah.
can watch it in their own time. If you Google Nobuko on YouTube. But also, that's very much an instructional video for you to communicate to your assistants or technical team to mix how you want things mixed or how you want things done. And obviously.
But when I ask assistant, it's two way. One is who knows how to do it, technician. No assistant, technician. And the other one is assistant. When I ask assistant, I don't describe so much. I ask them how they want, and then use them as a new material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
James, I'm just wondering, what from your works that you've done so far, what's your favorite, and what do you feel like for you resonates Nobuko in your work? Like, what's your favorite?
My favorite one. Okay, just go.
Go through. Jane.
But my favorite is changeable. It's strange, right? And the end of the last year, my gallery opened in the box because he bought back my work, early period of my work. And I was thinking at the time, it's kind of student work, But when he opened it, I laughed myself. It's really primitive, but really charming that I can't make anymore. It's 20 years ago, right? So I thought, oh, really good work. This is first time. So my favorite is really changeable. But by now, right? Okay, goes. Those stuff is a big project, which I made space itself, an organized space. And the project was really strange project, that big art event, that part of the kind of hotel, no hotel, they give us, you can have one part of the hotel how you want. So I got a shower room. So rebuild it inside in the shower room. So you have to go in there, private place. So go to the place, and there's a written writing work. We are living in the time machine. Look at that, and after that, also long corridor. You have to take off the clothes and go inside. And there is one room with this pink stuff, and here is a wool stuff on the top for stuff, and they go. It's quite strong reaction I got because you're naked.
So you have the
Like a whole feeling. You don't protect anything, right? In front of my work. So some people react, so much your work is erotic. I said, really? You are, I thought. Right? And some artists said, wow, your work looks like a living everything, right? So people react completely different. And I thought really success, just how they are, nothing to do with me.
One at the back.
You said you like people to bring, you don't like putting meaning into your work. You like people to sort of bring their own meaning to a piece. And that last one with the balloon that sort of deflated over time, how it kind of had its own identity as it changed over time. Do you think that that sort of changed anything? Did that mean anything to you, that it changed over time?
The last one is just happened, so.
Yeah.
So, wow, the figure change, physically change or not change. I don't particularly concentrate on that. That was just no accident, no accident. Not on purpose, but not on purpose. Not so much concentrate on that. I'm relaxed about it, open, and it's both okay, kind of.
Thank you. Nobuko, you've talked
Is it
a lot.
okay?
Is that okay? Thank you very much.
I'd just like to, on behalf of everyone here today, Nobuko and Sarah, thank you so much. That was a fantastic conversation, incredibly engaging, and I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say we're really, really excited and thrilled to see what's going to happen in Leeds, and the fact that there's so much uncertainty about it now just makes it all the more exciting, and so we look forward to having you in the city for a good period of time. Of course, please do.
So, thank you very much for everyone, and please come to see my work.
I feel very confident in saying that everyone in this room will be coming to see your work.
Yeah, that's
I'm
why
sure.
I came here. So.
Thank you very much. I also need to remind and invite everyone back here next week when we will have the pleasure of presenting Aisha Erkman, who will be coming to talk to us about her work and her contribution to Yorkshire Sculpture International. And Jane, have you got any other house notes to?
People fill in their surveys.
Oh, that would be fantastic if you can.
I would also just like to thank Leeds Beckett and Yorkshire Sculpture International for really putting together this series of talks, which I know that you're the penultimate and then Aisha, but it's been an incredible opportunity to hear artists before you see their work, as often is not the case. Often it's always the other way round, that you see the show and then you hear from the artist. So I think to have that incredible opportunity to hear from you and to hear from all the artists has been great. Thank you.
Yeah. So one last thank you for our speakers. Thank you all.